welcome to your reading. So we have a different filming setup today. I'm filming in a different part of my house. I'm hoping this will be quieter in terms of background noise. And so I'm not sure what the lighting's going to look like. So it's going to take me a minute to figure everything out, but hopefully it looks nice today. But we're taking a look at your life in 5 years' time. So we have the Ace of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, we have the Priestess, which is the High Priestess in this deck. We have She Who Changes, Iris, Transformation, Change, and Enchantment. We have Balanced Spirituality and Practicality, Full Moon in Pisces. And we have She Who Radiates, Knowing, Ambition, and Confidence. I have to say, Group 1, I haven't seen the cards for the other two groups, but I really feel like you might end up being my favorite group today. I love the story that your cards are telling and the way that they're all interconnected here. So especially with this Full Moon in Pisces card, and it almost sort of mirrors the High Priestess, how she's like cupping this orb. It almost looks like she could be cupping the moon in the Full Moon in Pisces card, right? Like it sort of looks a bit similar. Even the colors with the dress that she's wearing sort of echoes this Full Moon in Pisces. And we know, of course, Pisces is a very intuitive sign, very psychic sign. And so that connects really well to the High Priestess as well. And the idea of Pisces, two fish swimming in the opposite directions, reminds me of this Five of Swords card. Typically, when we see the Five of Swords, it's talking about someone defeating a couple of other people, right? Usually there's some other figures in the background, some other individuals who have been defeated by one person. Whereas with this particular Five of Swords and the way the author has chosen, or the artist has chosen to depict it here, it's almost like arguing with yourself. Because these two fairies look very similar. It's like two different sides of you sort of pulling at you, right? And so the message here is that in 5 years' time, I think you finally reached a place of resolution within yourself. You're no longer feeling pulled by two opposing sides of yourself. Sorry, y'all, I got interrupted there. That's what happens when you have 4 pets in the house. But anyway, so it's like you have reached this point of reconciliation within yourself. And so you feel like finally there is balance within your life. And so maybe you're balancing out the practical side and the romantic side, or maybe you're finally finding a balance between your spiritual life and, feeling like you have room to express your spirituality and your creativity and to live intuitively, but you're also being practical and logical and, all that good stuff. So it's like you have finally mastered these opposing forces within yourself, and you're living a life that feels very balanced. And you feel like, okay, I'm able to go out here and have financial security and stability and a solid social support system. That's what the Ace of Pentacles is bringing to mind, this idea of I have abundance in the physical material world. I'm satisfied in that area. I feel financially blessed. I feel like I have stability and security. Those words are coming up very strongly. But also, it's not coming at the expense of me feeling like I'm living my authentic self, me feeling like I am spiritually aligned, me feeling like I am living within my soul's purpose. It's not like you're making money, but you're unfulfilled spiritually, or like your soul is unfulfilled. It sort of reminds me in the TV show Friends, how Chandler made so much money at his job. And I can't tell you what he did, but he worked at some sort of corporate job. But he was so miserable. And none of his friends could even tell you what he did for a living. Like, it was so boring when he would try to describe it to people. They just didn't listen, even his closest friends. And so he was so dissatisfied, even though he had all of this financial security. It just wasn't enough. And I think we tell ourselves that because it's hard when you're living paycheck to paycheck. So we tell ourselves, man, if I just made X amount of dollars a year, I wouldn't complain no matter what I had to do. But the honest truth is, if it's that sort of, the phrase that's coming to mind is soul sucking, but if it's that draining to your soul, if it feels so inauthentic to you, if you hate getting up in the morning and going to work, you're filled with dread, you have anxiety, a nervous pit in your stomach, if it's draining to your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, even if the money is great, even in this economy, sometimes it's just hard to force yourself to go through the motions, to force yourself, right? And for some of you, it's like you just didn't find that balance before. You're like, how can I find a way to have this abundance and security and stability without compromising myself and my values and feeling like I'm living out my soul's purpose and my spiritual path? How do I find that balance? And you finally have in 5 years' time. Now, this is not saying it's going to take you 5 years to get to that point, but what we are saying is that within 5 years' time, you are at that point. So, you may reach this balance in a year. You may reach this balance in 2 years. But the good news is that, even if you find this balance, let's say next year, you consistently maintain it because we're seeing that energy present in 5 years' time as well. But I think the reason why this particular message is coming through is maybe because right now you are financially struggling. Or maybe you feel very spiritually disconnected, and it's like, how can I have both? How can I feel connected to my soul's purpose, but also make a good living and be able to support myself? And, how do I find that? And so within 5 years' time, you have. And it is a big transformation. She who changes, she who radiates. So in 5 years' time, or within 5 years' time, you are sort of glowing up. I think when we're happier, it shows. I think that you can lose weight, gain weight, change your clothes, change your makeup, change your hair, whatever. Like you can do all of these different superficial sort of things. But I think what makes us look our best, what makes us look our most attractive is our energy. If someone is smiling and happy and laughing without being self-conscious about it, or without sort of putting it on, faking a laugh, faking a smile, when it's genuine, it's authentic, you see someone so happy, that's when you glow. That's when you really, really glow. No one looks more beautiful than when they're genuinely happy. And I think we're seeing that for you in 5 years' time, you genuinely being happy. And it is a big transformation because when you're at war with yourself with this 5 of Swords, how can you possibly be happy? You're in your head, you're overthinking, you're overwhelmed. It's written all over your face, like it wears you down. When you're at war with yourself, you feel so tired and broken and just, I think it leads to a sort of hopelessness. And the High Priestess always has hope. The High Priestess is someone who has faith. If nothing else, she has her faith and she walks in that truth. She sees the higher purpose, or she believes that there is one. Even when she doesn't know quite what it is, she trusts that there's a divine plan. She works in collaboration with Spirit. She is aligned. She is peaceful. And I think that's the exact opposite of the 5 of Swords. We're talking about being at war with yourself versus being at peace with yourself and at peace with your life and at peace with your choices. That's a big thing. And so the High Priestess, she trusts that she's being divinely guided. And she takes that inspired action. She doesn't wait for life to happen to her. But she does have faith that when things feel outside of her control, that there is a higher purpose to that. And so that's how she's able to prevent that overwhelmed, helpless hopeless sort of feeling that can come about, with that Five of Swords when we have this great internal conflict. And we have Soul's Window. Listen to what speaks to your soul. Purpose, passion, and truth. And we have Red, Forgive with the number 10. So again, we have this connection between all of your cards here. Full moon in Pisces, that's a place of completion, a full moon, right? It's a full circle moment. And with the number 10 here, that's the number of completion. And so this is telling us in 5 years' time, you've reached a point of success. You've reached a pinnacle of success where you feel like, okay, this is not the end all be all. It's not like, okay, everything in my life is perfect and it's never going to get better than this. Not saying that, but it's saying I've reached a sort of new level in my life. Like if you're playing a video game and you reach a higher level and it's higher than you've ever gone before, and there's other levels to achieve after this, but you feel so good to finally reach a certain level. That's what this is. And and that's you glowing up, leveling up. And so it's really great to see that for you. I think especially after you've had a time of feeling so lost, a time of feeling disconnected from spirit, not even feeling connected to yourself. I think maybe here lately, you just haven't felt very much like yourself. And I think that's the hardest thing when we feel disconnected from ourselves. We feel disconnected from spirit because we are one with the universe, right? And so I think that has really led to you feeling very lost. And so this is really sort of finding yourself again, connecting to that inner truth of who you are and living out with this soul's window here, your purpose. But you're doing so in a way where you don't feel like you have to compromise financial stability, or security, or having just in general stability in your life, stable relationships too. And so I feel like, it's sort of like we have carved out a home for ourselves here. And with Red and Forgive, I feel like, this is you forgiving yourself, because I think part of you is sort of like, we could have gotten here sooner, or why didn't I see this before? But I think you're making peace with that and saying, you know what? That's part of the journey here. I was never meant to figure it all out at one time. That's part of the process. Who is born and has it all figured out? That this is part of life. This is the hero's journey. That's why in the tarot, the cards lay out the way that they do. If you follow card 0, that's the Fool. That's the beginning of the story. And then we see the Fool go through all of these different stages. It's a long journey to get to a point of completion, to get to the World card. It's a long journey. And so I think you're finally putting that into perspective. And I think also you're kind of having a better understanding of sort of like the different life stages and what is reasonable to expect by at a certain age, I guess. I think maybe a part of you maybe thought in the past you were supposed to have it all figured out, or you were supposed to have had achieved certain things by a certain age. And now you're starting to realize that's not how life works. There's not certain milestones that have to be achieved by certain ages. Everyone's individual story is so different. Everyone's path is so different. And I think you're shedding that habit of self-comparison and even comparing past versions of yourself too. Because maybe you used to do that. Maybe you used to say, man, I used to be so much more productive. Or I used to be so much more ambitious. Or maybe even frustrated with past versions of yourself. Like, man, I was so naive. I was, and just having all of this sort of negative attitude towards your past self. For some of you, it's envy. And for some of you, it's just negativity and judgment. But I think you're forgiving yourself. And I think there is a gratitude towards your past versions of you and everything that they went to get you to this point. So I think you're being more gentle with yourself. You're being more loving towards yourself, more accepting of yourself. Your confidence is better. I think you finally feel good with where you're at. And so you're able to forgive and let go. And you may just even be the type of person to blame themselves if something goes wrong, even if it's not your fault. And I see you getting out of that habit as well. Or blaming yourself for the actions of others. Like, why did I let them treat me that way? You know, that sort of thing. So you're giving yourself more grace. All right, and now we will get the top 3 zodiac signs that will be influencing your life in 5 years' time. Group 1. Okay, we have Aries energy. So you could be dealing with an Aries person. Maybe you're an Aries and you're embodying that energy, really stepping into that. But also this is cardinal fire. So this could be you initiating projects, taking on more of a leadership role, taking more action towards things rather than overthinking. Let's see what else we have. Okay, and now we have Capricorn. So I definitely feel like this is you having that financial security and stability, and you really having that work ethic. But also I feel like, you know, we're having that in balance. And also, of course, you could be dealing with the Capricorn person. This is an earth sign. Okay, and now we have Cancer, and I love that. So now we have the balance of the water energy, the spirituality. We've talked about this. And Cancerian energy is really cozy and homey, but it has a lot of emotional depth to it as well. And so with Cancer here, of course, you could be dealing with a Cancer person. They tend to be quite nurturing, but more of like a maternal sort of energy. And yeah. Water sign. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Welcome to your reading. I had to take a little bit of a break between filming your group and the last group because my neighbors, they had their landscapers over. The trucks are gone. I think they're done for the day. Hopefully they're not just on like a lunch break or something. But anyway, hopefully we can get through this undisturbed. I am filming in a new location in my home, so if the sound quality is off or the lighting is off, please give me grace. I won't know until, I've tested it a couple of times and worked out the kinks, but hopefully we're in a good spot. I think it's going to work out really well. And I think it's going to be a lot better than trying to film in my kitchen. As some of y'all know, the fridge was driving me insane. So, I think that this is going to work out better. All right, enough chit chat. Let's get into it. Your life 5 years from now, group 2. We have the priest, which is actually the Hierophant. In this deck, we have the 7 of Wands. We have the Knight of Swords. So we have some air sign energy coming through with the Knight of Swords, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. And then we have Pearl, she who rises up, empower, uplift, and elevate. And we have conclusions are within reach, full moon in eclipse. I do think in 5 years' time, you're on the precipice of something big. With this 7 of Wands, I don't feel like it's an energy that just pops up into your life in 5 years' time. I feel like that's an energy that has stayed with you for quite some time. With this 7 of Wands, there's this feeling of, yes, a lot is coming at you. You may feel overwhelmed or feel like you're juggling a lot, or may even just feel defensive about what you're trying to achieve and protective over it and not letting anyone else's, opinion kind of color your dedication to this thing. However, with this particular 7 of Wands, we see these two little fairy boys and how they have sort of captured or tamed this dragon. And so that's a huge thing, right? These two little fairies and this big, huge dragon. That's sort of the energy here, even the confidence of the priest and the Knight of Swords. I think that you are in 5 years' time sort of about to see sort of the fruits of your labor come to pass. You're going to sort of prove any people who said you couldn't do something wrong. But I think even more importantly than that, you're proving it to yourself. And I think that when we work towards something, we put our heart into it, blood, sweat, and tears, all that good stuff. We put our full force, our passion, our will, our drive into something. And we pray for it, and we work for it, and we speak it into existence. And we're confident that even when we can't see a guaranteed outcome, even when success isn't something that is promised to us, but we still put our full effort into it and have faith that if we just keep pushing forward, if we just keep trying, we can accomplish it. And then we see that thing come to pass. It's so much sweeter than if it was just handed to us. Now, would it be nice if it was handed to you? Sure. But that's not how life works a lot of the time. And I feel like you're just going to feel so much pride within yourself with the she who rises up, empower, uplift, elevate. This is giving you some wind in your sails here. This is propelling you forward, because I think that when you have tried a bunch of different things, it hasn't worked, you feel like you're just throwing things at the wall, trying to see what will stick. You find your path, you commit to it, you put everything into it, and then you're not sure if you're going to be a success or not. Maybe people are gossiping about you or not being the most supportive or encouraging or judging you or making jokes, whatever. But then you finally see what you have spoken come into existence, what you have willed into existence, what you have, again, like put your heart into. When you see that, the culmination of all of that effort, it's like, if I can achieve this, what else can I do? So it's a huge, massive confidence boost because you're beating the odds here. You're the underdog in this fight. These two little fairies against this dragon, you're the underdog. but you're making it happen. An eclipse is powerful change. And it's a full moon, so it is, that full circle moment of success. Group 1 had a little message of that too. But for you, it's like we're on the precipice. We're on the edge of it. And we're almost there. And the fact that we're talking about a reading that's 5 years into the future, maybe, not saying that you're working the entire 5 years towards it, but maybe for some of you that's the case. Like if we're talking about you trying to get a higher level degree, like a master's or a PhD, that can take time, right? Because maybe you need certain prerequisites or you have to apply to get into the program. People don't, I think, sometimes when it comes to academics, understand how long something can take. And so, it could be something like that, or you starting your own business and trying to get it off the ground, or starting a side hustle and wanting it to become like your main gig, or wanting to turn your passion project into a career. Or this could even talk about your love life even for some of you, or just a personal self-development goal. But it's something that's very close to your heart, something that's going to give you a massive confidence boost, and something that you've really had to, I think, sort of master. With the priest here, the Hierophant, they're the teacher. And so I do think with the Knight of Swords, air sign energy always kind of carries the energy of the student. It's very mental. Swords is very mental energy, as is air sign energy. It's all about the mind. And the thing with, the Knight of Swords, we think of Gemini, Aquarius, Libra. There is, especially I think with Gemini and Aquarius, a desire to learn. Libra wants to get to the truth of things. But, Gemini is very curious energy. Aquarius is very revolutionary, like, why do we have to do things the old way? Why can't we do things a different way? It's very non-traditional. And, it shakes things up. It's an energy that shakes things up. Gemini and Aquarius, I would say that. And so I feel like this is your journey from becoming the student to the teacher. And you may have a mentor, through this process for some of you, not for all of you, or just someone that you look up to, someone you aspire to be like, that kind of pushes you forward. Or, even if it's not directly related to what you want to do, you see them succeed in something and you're like, man, maybe I could do that too. Y'all already know with my reality TV examples, but I've been binge watching like Southern Charm, like when I clean my house and stuff. And there is, I always want to say character. These are people. There's a cast member on the show. His name is Craig. And, everyone is always on his case about law school and, did you graduate and did you pass the bar? And just kind of on his case about it. And it's kind of clear that, maybe he's lying to himself for a while. It doesn't really seem like he wants to be a lawyer. And, you see him kind of exploring different hobbies and stuff. He's trying to find his way. And he's surrounded by people who all have trust funds and don't really have to, worry about money. And so for him, eventually he lands on sewing, and he finds a lot of joy in just making decorative pillows. And to me, it's very wholesome and endearing. But there's just something about him where I'm like, I root for him. I hope he gets it together. And I'm not as far along in the show, but I did Google and do a spoiler for myself. And now I think he has a pillow company. They make other household items and pet items and home decor and things like that. But it's worth millions of dollars now, this company. And it was something he was passionate about and something he just genuinely enjoyed doing. And you see him fail a lot on the show. Like, you see him mess up a lot. And it's not an overnight success kind of thing, even with his money from the reality TV show and, all of that. It still took him a while to find his footing with this and to figure it out. There's a lot of embarrassing moments where he doesn't have it together. He's not a perfect person. He messes up a lot. He's actually an Aquarius. But he gets there. And it's like a running joke through the show. Like, people hate on him so much. They make jokes about him. and, rag on him for not following a traditional path and just using his law degree to open up his own law firm and whatever. But he did find success, and he found it on his own terms, doing something that he genuinely enjoys. Now, mind you, I don't know what kind of quality of person he is. Sometimes with these reality TV people, you like them, and then you find out in later seasons, oh, they're awful. So I don't know. I'm not speaking to Craig's character. However, I root for him in the same way that, looking at your cards, I root for you, and I'm excited for you. And I just want to say, if you find yourself in Craig's position where people are being very judgmental or trying to push you on a path that just doesn't resonate with you, or, everybody's got jokes, it's so much easier to criticize someone else than to try to do something for yourself. And so, if people have the time to talk about you and to judge you, it just shows that they don't have a lot going on in their own life. So, not to be negative, but I just want to caution you, don't let that slow you down. If, people aren't as supportive as you would hope them to be, or you find out someone's been talking behind your back about you, just not being very kind or, encouraging, don't let it slow you down. Don't let it stop you, because you're going to do really big things. And it's okay if it takes time, because all good things do, I think. I think if things are built to last, they can take time. And that's whether it's in your professional life or your love life or whatever, it takes time. And I will say also, if you are someone like Craig, because he did come to mind, where you have this higher education or you have this training or experience in some other field and you want to shift and do something different, don't let people guilt you into saying well, then why did you go and get that degree? Or why did you spend so long, in that field if it wasn't what you wanted to do? It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to shift. It's okay to try something new. And it doesn't have to mean that time was wasted. Maybe there was something about Craig going to law school and failing, at connecting with that and wanting to make something of that. Maybe that just wasn't his purpose, but maybe there was something about that process and him going through that helped him find his way. At the end of the day, this is all part of the divine's plan, right? And it's okay. It's okay to change your mind. And I think that's why we have this air sign energy here with the Knight of Swords. It's okay to change your mind. Don't let people pigeonhole you or expect you to be the same version of you that you were 5 years ago, and people do shift and change, and it's better to change now than to wait and be miserable for years and years and years doing something that just doesn't resonate with you, and then to change later. It's like postponing your own happiness. So yeah, I just want to throw that in there too. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to redirect. It's okay if it takes you a while to figure out a plan for yourself. It's okay. And we have universe. We're all just stardust. And we have home. Come back home to yourself. Belonging, celebration, and stability. I don't talk about this a lot on this channel, but I do think there's something about you where you feel almost like an alien. You just feel like you're not of this world. You don't really feel like you fit in or belong, where you just feel like the traditional path is not something that fits in with me, or what my family wants of me is not what I want, or I don't want to live the kind of life that my friends are living or that society tells me I'm supposed to live. There's something different about you. And I think that you have a very unique way of doing things, and you have a very expansive mind. And for you, you see so many possibilities. And for you, I think it's just about narrowing down what it is that is going to bring you the most fulfillment, because I think there's this energy to you where you want to do everything. And then because you want to do everything and be everything, that becomes overwhelming, and it's hard for you maybe to stick to things or to commit to things, and then you can kind of lose your identity a little bit. And so I feel like, for you, I think maybe embrace that. Embrace that you are dynamic. Embrace that there are many sides to you. Embrace that you are a bit of a chameleon. And maybe you are not someone who is easily definable. Maybe that's who you are. And that's okay too. And it's okay if you go through different phases. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't know who you are, but maybe you're just that kind of person where you're very changeable. That's air sign energy. It's not earth. It's not grounded. It's not rooted. Air sign energy in and of itself is a very fleeting energy. You can't hold it. You can't grab onto it. It's changeable. Inherently changeable. And I think there's a lot of beauty in that. I love air sign energy. And so this come back home to yourself, it's like almost just kind of understanding that it's okay if other people struggle to express who you are or struggle to define who you are. It's okay if you don't fit into a certain box or a certain stereotype. Why should you? Why should you limit yourself? You're made of stardust, right? Like, you're made of the universe, and the universe is the most expansive thing. Why should you feel the need to limit yourself? And so I think you're coming back to the truth of who you are. And I think that you are kind of making peace with the fact that you're a bit unique. Maybe you're a little weird to some people. You're different, you know? And that's okay. It's okay if you are the oddball, if you are the one who does the unexpected thing. That's something to be celebrated. It's okay that you're different. And I think it's that feeling of difference. You know, maybe you have felt like the black sheep, but it's that feeling of difference, of not fitting in, that I think is fueling this success. So going back to my reality TV example, there's a scene where another cast member on the show who's always criticizing Craig so much, but he says something that I thought was actually kind of insightful, even if it wasn't the nicest thing. But he essentially said, like, look at Craig's family. He doesn't fit in there. His family, they all seem like a bunch of jocks, like really masculine and athletic. And Craig was a kid making a cookbook and making up his own like key lime pie recipe or something. And he came down here because he's from the north. He came down here to the south because he knew he didn't fit in there. And so he's made his home here. And so I think it's sort of like that, of like, I don't feel like I fit in where I'm from. But where do I fit in? And maybe struggling with that. But I think what is meant to be celebrated here is that you are different. And Craig makes a lot of jokes, like there's not many men who are like, I want to be at home sewing pillows, or not many people who would just land on that as their career, right? Like it's not an average sort of career, like I'm going to make my money off of decorative pillows. It's kind of random, right? It's kind of unexpected. And so I think that's kind of what it is with you, is that what you're meant to do or the path that you're meant to follow, it's unexpected because you yourself are unexpected. Your personality, it's hard to predict how you're going to be. You're just changeable like that. You have that air sign energy. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of this is almost like a pep talk, you know, for you to keep going. It's like your future self is calling out to you and saying, hey, we're gonna find our way. Don't give up. Keep going. Doesn't matter how many people don't get it. They don't have to get it. We're gonna do it anyway. I think that group 1 had a message of like self-confidence in the future. For you, I think it's more about self-acceptance. 100%. Now we're going to get 3 zodiac signs that could be a strong influence in your life 5 years from now. So let's go ahead and do that. Group 2, 5 years from now. Okay, we've got Sagittarius. And that makes a lot of sense to me because Sagittarius has the energy of the teacher. So Gemini and Sagittarius are opposite signs. Gemini is an air sign, like we've already talked about. So Gemini is in the role of the student. Sagittarius is in the role of the teacher. And so I definitely feel like you are becoming the teacher, the master, the expert of whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in 5 years' time. Also with Sagittarius here, this is the traveler. So you could be traveling or relocating potentially. And then also, there could just be a Sagittarius person, maybe that's acting as a mentor in your life or someone who is going to play a big role in your life 5 years from now. Okay, and now we have Virgo energy. I like Virgo coming through because Virgo is very dedicated, diligent, detail-oriented, very focused energy, and I feel like those are good qualities to have. It's also very organized energy. Those are all good qualities to have if you're trying to achieve something, achieve a goal. Also, again, maybe a Virgo person that's an earth sign could be an influence in your life. And now we have Cancer. This is a water sign. And I feel like this is kind of echoing that home card because Cancer to me is the sign of the home. It's very cozy, comforting, talks about family, loved ones. It's a very nurturing, maternal energy. And I almost feel like you have that approach to your relationship with yourself where I find home within me. I find sanctuary within me. And it's like your mind is now a safe space for yourself and you're not bogged down by negative self-talk anymore. You're, sort of reparenting yourself, being kind to yourself. And also, again, maybe a Cancerian person plays a big role in your life. And again, that is a water sign. Okay. And then just to wrap up your reading here, I wanted to use the Serenity Journal. I always forget about this. So this is a journal that I made a couple of years ago, and it's just filled with inspiring quotes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip through it and just intuitively stop on a page and select a quote for you that will sort of, get the gist of your life 5 years from now. Or if Spirit just wants to give you some additional advice, we'll just have to see. Okay. Group 2, your life 5 years from now. What should they know, Spirit? Group 2. Okay. Oh man, I kind of want to read all of this because they all kind of flow together here. All right, I'm so sorry about that. The phone just stopped recording. I'm not sure why. Thankfully, most of your reading was saved just the very end here. So it was live less out of habit and more out of intent. And then we have worrying is a waste of time. It does not take away future troubles. It does take away today's peace. Stay mindful, be present, and be grateful if tomorrow comes at all. So much of what we dread is really the privilege of living. So I'm going to read that to you again because I think it's heavy, right? It's a heavy message, but I think it's an important one. And be grateful if tomorrow comes at all. So much of what we dread is really the privilege of living. And listen, I'm guilty of that too. I think the older that we get and we move up the age brackets, we can start to dread our birthday, when we turn those milestone birthdays, I think especially, you turn 30 or 40 or 50, 60, so on and so forth. But we got to remember, not everyone gets the privilege of growing older. It's a blessing, right? And then we have raise your standards and the universe will meet you there. Live with intention. Every decision should be made with pure intent. Every reason behind what you do or choose will come back to you as the result. Every cause has an effect after all. And I just thought of something else. I think sometimes we kind of dread our birthdays, right? Because it reminds us, another year has passed and, maybe we're not where we want to be. Or it's a reminder of death, right? but it should be a reminder that we got to live another year, and we can have an attitude of gratitude instead, right? That we got that year, we got that time, and there's so much ahead of us, right? Okay, and then we have, I can choose how I'm going to regard unfortunate circumstances in my life. Whether I will see them as curses or opportunities, I can choose my words and the tone of voice in which I speak to others. And most of all, I can choose my thoughts. And that's a quote by Elizabeth Gilbert from Big Magic. I really loved that book when I read it. It was many years ago. That was back when I was living in North Carolina. It was so long ago. But it's an older book, so you can get it from your library for sure. But I've never read her fiction books, but I did enjoy that one. So I do recommend it if you're a creative person. I think it was helpful for me for sure. Okay. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading.
Pas de soleil, 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 pas de soleil.
Welcome to your reading. So I do have a few things to tell you before we get started. I changed my filming location. I'm hoping sound-wise this is a lot better. But if the lighting or the audio is off, just give me grace. It's going to take me maybe a minute to figure it out. But I do think this is going to work out a lot better. I will also say, if you see a lot of jump cuts in this reading, when I was filming group 2, the phone just stopped recording, and so I'm going to be getting up and down a lot, which isn't easy for me. I'm in my 3rd trimester now. It's embarrassing how much of a struggle it is for me to just get up and down. But anyway, so I'm going to try to cut out every time I get up to check to see if we're still recording. And so if you see a lot of jump cuts, it's that or me just being short of breath. So just bear with me. Now, I will also say, if you know anything about tarot and these cards or even the oracle cards are making you a little bit nervous, your reading has a very different tone than the other 2 groups. We're going to get into it. This is one where you gotta stick with it, okay? So I may not be saying all the things you want to hear, But I do think this is an important message for you to hear, and there's a reason why you were drawn to this reading and this particular group. Okay, let's get into it. We have the Devil card. We have the Tower. This is the cutest Tower card I have ever seen. It's my favorite rendition of the Tower. I love this card. I know it's scary and intense, but like I said, we'll get into it. We have the Ace of Swords. We have She Who Loved Once, blue, fragile. Let's see how I'm tripping on my words. Fragile, secret love, rejection. We have Villain. You can always rewrite the story. And we have Nothing Will Come of This Situation, Void of Course, Moon. This Void of Course, Moon, Nothing Will Come of This Situation, is huge. Your reading is almost like a cautionary tale. It's almost a little bit of a warning here. Whatever is happening right now for you, that you know is unhealthy, that you know is ultimately unsustainable for whatever reason. And maybe you know that, but you don't know how to get out of it, and that's the trouble for you. If you are completely and totally happy and content in your life and you are being honest with yourself about it in this present moment, choose another group, because this group is for people who are currently dissatisfied, unhappy, overwhelmed, stressed, upset in some aspect of their life or just overall. Because with the Devil next to the Tower, that tells me whatever this Tower is representing in your life, it's something that is ultimately unhealthy for you. You know, the Devil card can point out to us sometimes like what we're addicted to, or our own bad habits, or things that just ultimately, whether it's a person, a circumstance, or a situation, or an environment, this isn't healthy for you. And so the Devil card, as scary as it can be, is very informative. You know, it shows us what is not in our best interest, essentially. This isn't healthy. You know, maybe it's physically unhealthy, emotionally unhealthy, mentally unhealthy, spiritually unhealthy, but there's something about it that's not healthy. You know, having worked for quite a long time in the field of addiction and speaking to patients, clients, different settings use different terminology, but speaking to them, a lot of times, especially in like a group counseling session, a question would be posed that is like, do you think it's crazy? Like, we keep using these substances, right? We keep engaging in that behavior, even though we know the consequences. Logically, we know the consequences, but we can't stop, right? Like, that's the nature of addiction. Like, you know, there are these negative consequences that this addiction is having in your life, but you feel compelled to continue. And it's that compulsion of it. What is driving that? And trying to understand it. What is it about it that makes me continue to engage in that behavior? And so trying to figure yourself out and what motivates that behavior, what is driving it, that's a big part, you know, of recovery, of trying to figure yourself out, you know, trying to understand what those root causes are, because there's a reason behind it, right? And trying to understand what needs to be healed, and, you know, a lot of self-reflection in recovery. And so I feel like for you with this Devil here, it's asking you to self-reflect. There may be a part of this that is a bit bittersweet, a part of you that wants to make it work. And that's the thing that's hard when you talk about addiction. Like, there's a part of you that wants to keep doing it, even if it's not logical, even if it's unhealthy, even if it's bad for you. It's that compulsion. So maybe something about this Tower, like, you feel tied to it. Something about it, you still love it, but you know it's not good for you. You know it's not sustainable. I mean, this could be talking about a romantic partnership. It could be talking about a career path. It could be talking about so many different things, but it's like, I know something about this environment, situation, person, relationship, whatever. Something about it is unhealthy. It's not sustainable. And maybe it's a habit that you have. Something that you love to do, but you know, like, this is not healthy for me, or like, this lifestyle is not healthy for me. It's not sustainable. Even the fact that I talked about how cute this tower card is to me, like, it's so adorable, but it's not a card that you really want to see, right? No one's hoping to get the tower card. Like, a lot of the times you see the tower card, you're like, oh, hell, here we go, what's up? You know? But even this particular tower card, like, it's so cute. Like, there may be something about this tower that you still feel emotionally tied to, even if it's not logical. You still feel drawn to it maybe in some ways. But I think this reading almost comes in like this Ace of Swords. Like, your future self is saying, listen, our timeline is not set in stone. You're not like the other two groups. You have time to change this. You can change course, and in fact, you're being encouraged to. Your future self, your spirit guides, your spiritual team is saying, this tower, this devil, they're cautionary tales. Like I said, like, it doesn't have to go this way. You can choose to knock this tower down now yourself, or you can wait for it to happen 5 years from now. But there's going to be a point of reckoning. Either you can initiate it and you can put an end to this and choose something different, or you can wait 5 years from now and watch it go up in flames, right? Like, you can wait for the storm, or you can do something to prevent it. I would do something to prevent it. With this She Who Loved Once blue, this tells me, like, this tower is something that you really wanted at one point in your life. Like, you really wanted this tower. And the tower is something that we put effort into. We built it up. Our heart's in it. We were tied to it. You see the roots growing up. Like, this is something that you invested into. And it's hard to walk away when you invest in something. You feel like all that wasted time, all that wasted energy and effort. But that's the sunken cost fallacy. We talk about that a lot on this channel. That can keep you trapped, that kind of thinking. Where you think like, oh, I put all this time and effort and energy and love into something. I can't just walk away. But if it's unhealthy for you and it's unsustainable, the more time you keep tying yourself to it, you keep committing to it, the more time you're wasting. You would be saving time and saving energy and effort to just cut your losses. Sometimes in life we have to cut our losses. We have to walk away. Sometimes the best decision we can make is to quit something. And that doesn't make you a failure. That makes you smart. The Ace of Swords, there's going to be a point of clarity here. A point of reckoning. A point of, oh, man, I got to change. And if you don't see a way out, Spirit's going to help you with that, okay? Because that may be part of the problem, is that you know ultimately this is unhealthy, but you don't know how to change. You need help changing. You need help to walk away. You don't know what else to do. Spirit's going to help you with that, okay? But again, nothing will come of this situation. This tower doesn't have to happen this way. You can make the decision for yourself to end it or to change. You don't have to wait 5 years from now for this tower to collapse. That's going to be a lot worse than if you just cut your losses now or make the change now. Villain, you can rewrite the story. You have more power over this narrative than you realize. You can change this story. And if this is referring to bad lifestyle habits, you don't have to be the villain. Like, you don't have to continue to engage in these behaviors. You can make that change. You are capable of change. The whole mental health field, the field of therapy, would not exist if people were not capable of change. You can change. You can grow. You can self-develop. That's the whole point of life. You can heal from the things that have hurt you. You can. And you will. And it is bittersweet. It is difficult. It is challenging. But it doesn't have to be this explosive, my life is collapsing thing. You can save it from being that if you do that self-reflection. Be open to guidance from the universe. Use your intuition. This Ace of Swords, you're going to have this epiphany moment. The path will be made clear to you. But I think this Tower, whatever it represents to you, like I said, whether it's a lifestyle, a habit, a relationship, a career, whatever it is in your life, right? It's a general reading, but whatever this Tower represents to you, could be even limiting beliefs, whatever it represents to you, you can change it. You don't have to wait until the whole thing explodes in your face, right? And why be stuck in something that's not sustainable for 5 years? Why do that? So that's why this entire reading, like I said, it's a word of warning. It's a caution to you. But it's also an acknowledgement of how difficult it is and a reassurance that help from the universe is on the way. We have ancient ruins. Build a castle from the ruins. Devastation, loss, and old wounds. And we have afterlife. Where are we going now? Transition, transformation, and rebirth. So I think for the other two groups from the You Are Here Oracle deck, I only got one card, but for you all, I got two. And I took both once I saw what they were, because how beautiful is this, right? It's really summarizing your reading very perfectly. The Ancient Ruins card is echoing the Devil and the Tower here. Devastation, loss. We see this crumbling structure, right? It wasn't built to last. It's gonna fall down, whatever this represents in your life. It's not meant to last. And it is difficult, but the thing with the Tower, when it all comes down, you can build again. That's the beauty of it. And so here we have the Afterlife card, transition, transformation, rebirth. This is giving Scorpio death card energy. Okay, that Tower fell, or we pushed it down. We can do something different. We can transform ourselves. We can transform our situation. We can transition, if this is a relationship or a career, we can transition into something new. Maybe for some of you, this is representing a divorce or a breakup. Maybe for some of you, you need to go back to school, change your career. Maybe for some of you, you have an unhealthy lifestyle. Maybe you don't take good care of your mental health or your physical health. But you are capable of change, or you're capable of making this change. And I think it'll all be worth it. And I think what is on the other side is so beautiful. And it's really great that you found this reading, because this right here is reminding you, you have the power to change your situation or to change yourself. And I think honor how you feel with the She Who Loved Once Blue. Honor how you feel. It is bittersweet. It's okay. And you may have to go through a grieving process with this Tower card. Whether it's grieving your old self or your old life or your old relationship or your old job. It's okay to feel that. It's okay to feel a mix of emotions about this Tower. And in fact, I think that's quite normal. But you're not the villain of your story, right? You're the hero of your story. So let's choose that path. Because with this villain card, it's almost like we're hurting ourselves. By staying chained, that's the thing with the Devil, right? You're chained to something that you could willingly walk away from. The Devil isn't forcing you there. You are staying chained to the Devil out of your own volition. And again, if it's struggling with, how do I make this change? I know I need to. Spirit's going to help you with that. They're going to send you that guidance. And I will also say, with this Void of Course Moon card, if you have anxiety, or fear, what's going to happen? This tower isn't what I want. This tower isn't perfect, but it's still my tower. It's all that I have. So let's say, for example, just to give context here, let's say you're in an unhappy romantic partnership and it's unhealthy and it's toxic, but you still love the person even though you're not compatible or it's not working out for whatever reason, but you're like, maybe I can't do any better, or maybe I'm the problem, or maybe this is as good as I can get, or, maybe you're afraid of being lonely, or you're afraid of the ramifications if you walk away from this person. Maybe it's just fear of being alone that keeps you there, fear of being lonely. Maybe, you have a fear that you can't do any better. And so you're like, well, this person isn't perfect, but they're somebody, and you stick with it. And Spirit is saying, that fear that you have, that anxiety that you have, it's in your head. If you end that romantic relationship that's causing you pain and is toxic and unhealthy, you can find real healthy love that's not going to make you feel that pain. And when you stay in a romantic partnership with someone that you're incompatible with and you bring out the worst in each other, you start to not recognize yourself. You don't like who you are. If you're bringing out the worst in each other, no one wants to be around you. And being unhappy in a committed partnership is a lot lonelier than feeling single and lonely. I mean, it's a whole different level when you feel lonely in your marriage, or you feel lonely with your long-term boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, or your life partner. That's so much more lonelier. It's a whole different level of lonely when you have someone there, but they feel like a stranger to you, or you feel just like your roommates or something, or you feel that disconnect from your partner. It's almost like you seeing what you could have, or the potential of what you could have, like a carrot in front of your face, but you don't have it. It's so much worse than just being single and doing your own thing. And so, yeah, if it's something like that, where it's just that fear of, if I walk away from this tower, what will I have? I feel like Spirit wants to give you this reassurance. Whatever fears and anxieties you have about this tower coming down, trust and believe staying in this tower is so much worse than just walking away. And so maybe some of you are at a dead-end job, but you're like, this is something though. It's at least something. I'm afraid if I quit or I try to look for another job, I won't be able to find anything. Spirit is saying you will. You will be able to find something better. We don't want you stuck here. Y'all know I like my reality TV examples, but I remember watching Vanderpump Rules, and one of the cast members, James, he had said, I forget which season it was, but he had said essentially like, I'm worried that if I don't drink, because his problem is with alcohol, I'm worried if I don't drink, people aren't going to find me as fun or entertaining, or I'm not going to be able to be a good DJ if I'm not drinking. And so there was that fear there of like, essentially, am I going to like who I am, and are other people going to like me if I don't have this crutch, of alcohol? And so when he did get sober, everyone told him, we like you so much better when you're sober. And he started to find his career was doing better once he was sober. And so all of that fear that he had was really unfounded, and it turned out to be the exact opposite. He had all this anxiety that people weren't going to like him without the alcohol, or his career was going to suffer, and in fact, it was the opposite. He was so much more successful and so much more likable when he was sober. He was a better person sober, a better version of himself, I should say. And I think a more authentic version of himself. And so, yeah, I think that Void of Course Moon is saying, whatever fears and anxieties you have about it, there's so much better for you on the other side. Don't let that fear and anxiety keep you chained to the devil and the tower, okay? All right, now we're going to roll the astro die here and find 3 zodiac signs that are going to play a major role in your life in 5 years' time. Group 3. We have Aries, which is cardinal fire. I do feel like this is spirit just telling you to take action on this right now, like knock out this tower and chain yourself from the devil, and don't be afraid of new beginnings, because Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. And it could be as well, you know, an Aries person plays a big role in your life in 5 years' time. Okay, and now we have Aquarius. I love this for you too, because Aquarius is all about revolutionary change, doing something different. And I also feel like Aquarius, I've said this many times, but to me, Aquarius is like the best friend. Like, they make such good friends. And, you know, you might need some support, you know, in 5 years' time. So I like to see that for you too. And Aquarius is air sign energy. It could be an Aquarius that spirit uses as a vessel to deliver that epiphany to you. So I would say if an Aquarius person gives you some advice, listen to it, because it could be that Ace of Swords moment. Okay, and now we have Leo. That's my sign, my sun sign. So Leo is fixed fire. So I definitely feel like this is spirit telling you to commit to a different path and be confident enough to do so. And, you know, I also feel like Leos make good friends in the sense that we hype people up. And Leo is the opposite sign to Aquarius. And so you may have a supportive Leo in your life who is hyping you up and encouraging you to live your best life. Okay. Now we will end your reading with a message in our Serenity Journal. This is a journal I filled up several years ago with inspiring quotes. So what I'm going to do is just intuitively stop on a page and read out a quote to you that will either shed some light on where you're going to be 5 years from now or give you some advice. So we'll see. Group 3, their life 5 years from now. What do you want them to know, please, Spirit? Okay. Okay. I actually want to read all of these to you, so let's get into it. We have the reason people find it so hard to be happy is that they always see the past better than it was, the present worse than it is, and the future less resolved than it will be. I think that's an important one for you now. We have, there is a reason why I am here, and that reason is bigger than me. So I will carry on with great faith, beyond what I can see, in pursuit of the bold courage on the adventure of the journey. And we have, may you never discredit how far you have come, for even here in the forest, you are under the sun. In the thick of the wild, there is still a way out. And if only you keep treading, you will see where you're heading, is where you are meant to be. And it is worth it to believe all of this out here is part of the journey. I wonder if that's a Brené Brown quote, because I feel like I have a lot of her quotes in this book. I don't know for sure though. Okay. All right, that concludes your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope it brought you some comfort. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, or subscribing. Hitting the notification bell lets you know whenever I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to watch the ads. I know they can probably be a little bit annoying, but you can always mute them and just have them on in the background. So I really appreciate anyone who does that as well. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched the ads already, been a regular viewer, donated on Venmo, tipped with SuperThanks, or just commented or liked a video. It means the world to me and to Miss Gracie, of course. I'm wishing everyone the best as always. Please take care, and I hope to see you in my next reading.